Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another video. Today I am continuing my series on chillwave essentials, and I'm going to talk about the chillwave pump or the Chillsynth pump that you hear in basically every track out there. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with kind of that pumping sound, this is achieved through sidechain compression, and I'm going to show you today how to create this sound. This is going to be especially helpful for beginners who may not understand how to kind of create that basic sound, but it's a fundamental sound of chill synth and chillwave music. And for more advanced users, I'm going to show you not only how to create it, but why it's important to use it in certain situations and for your mixing and mastering in general. Before I get started, I just want to really quickly say, if you're new here, head over to synthdesigner.com where you could download lots of presets for free on Serum and Vital. I have a couple of chillwave dedicated packs, and I will also be releasing more packs in the future. They are all free to download, no signups required. If you want to support me, you could shoot me a donation or head over to my Patreon page where I give access to these preset packs early. But if you just want to wait, then of course you could download them for free. But let me take you through this technique and why it's important. And well, first of all, let's listen to how it sounds. You may have heard this song before. This is the song that I created from scratch in my previous video on how to start a Chillsynth video. Now, if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it. It takes you through the entire process of how to create a Chillsynth song, and there's also a follow-up video for even more information. So let's just listen here. Pay attention to the bass and the kick and how they interact with each other, and kind of the general vibe as well. So what do you notice there? You notice kind of that pumping effect. Now, there's a few important parts there. There's the bass, there's the kick, and there's a shaker playing, and there's also a pad, and there's a main synth as well. And even this has that sidechain compression. If we were to just listen to it on its own, I'm creating this through Kickstart 2. Which is just a very simple plugin that allows you to create this sidechain compression really quickly. And if you're not familiar with what sidechain compression is, please check out my video on how to create sidechain compression. But I'm going to show you here, just through this process, how to create it. It's a paid plugin. It's about $20, I think. And you essentially, once you open it, it gives you this kind of curve here. And what this does is create space for the kick and any other sounds to hit. So if I were to take this off, and let's listen to it. So it's pretty subtle here. But if I turn it way up, of course you can hear the difference there. In this situation here, I really wanted it to be a little bit more subtle because that synth has that kind of dynamic, transient quality that I really wanted coming through a little bit more. But I did turn it up more on the bass here. So let's take a look at the bass. Again, I have Kickstart 2, and let's listen to these two together. Just the bass. So there you could really hear that pumping effect. And what that does is, once you have a lot of that pumping effect in different channels, it all starts to work together and create that pumping rhythm. Because if I were to have it only on the bass, you wouldn't hear it quite as much. You would if you're really kind of in tune to electronic music and really kind of paying attention to that. But when you have different kind of layers working together, then you want that pumping effect to come through more, especially in chill synth music. And then we have this pad as well. And again, you could hear that all working together. This synth does not have it. Just because, again, it has a transient quality and I want that coming through more and don't need it. But this is also all done in a way to create space for that kick, because when the kick hits on the downbeat every time, so does this pumping effect happen, right? So that creates space, especially in the low end, for that kick to come through. Now, why is that important? Well, if you constantly have a bass sound, for example, or anything in the same frequency range as your kick hitting, then you're not going to have a very powerful kick. Now, in some situations, you might not care that much about that, but I can guarantee you, no matter what genre of electronic music, you want to have at least some of that kick coming through, and the way you do that is through sidechain compression. And basically, you find it in any genre, but especially in Chillsynth with all your elements, not just the bass. And more than just the rhythmic element, it does have a necessary purpose. And I'm going to show you that in this situation, even though I have the bass with kickstart here, I felt like it wasn't giving me all the room I needed. So I actually added another plugin here with the fruity limiter. And what I did here, if you're not familiar, I attached or sidechained the kick to the bass, and you do that just by clicking. So in this situation, you would click this little up arrow and you would just do sidechain to this track if you wanted that. In this situation, again, I would just click here. So you sidechain essentially to this track, then you put on the limiter, fruity limiter, or whatever sidechain compression tool you like to use. In this situation, I find the fruity limiter very easy. And then you go from the limiter to the compressor, and then you can just find it on the list here. It'll be sidechain and kick. And let's just take a look of how this looks together when everything's playing at once. You can see it's ducking out of the way significantly every time that kick hits. If I were to take it off, it's still ducking, but not nearly as much, right? And that's not just a rhythmic thing, that actually has a significant impact on your mix. Now, for this next little tip here, I hope you have either really good headphones or a good set of monitors, because I want to show you what the difference is when I play this. This is a fully mastered track at this point. I want to show you the difference when I start to play the kick and the bass and everything coming together without the limiter and with the limiter, and see if you could tell the difference here. So this is with it on. Okay. And now I'm going to actually go back here, and we're going to do it with it off here, with this limiter off, and see if you can notice something. Once again, I'm going to turn it on now. Did you notice something about that? The one thing that was happening is that kick and the master in general was clipping. And what does that mean? It was bringing in distortion, which I did not want. And the reason for that is because the bass and the kick are so loud. And when you create that distortion, that unwanted distortion, is really unpleasant. So listen just really closely again. I'm going to turn it off and on really quick, and pay attention when I turn it on and off and see if you could tell. So I'm going to start with it on. Now, there's situations where you'll want some distortion on a kick like that, and I guess for certain effects, some people like that. But generally speaking, when your master is clipping, that is not a good sign. And I did not want that, especially because it just doesn't sound great. So to kind of put things in perspective, that this sidechain pump is not just an effect, but it has important effect on your entire mix that can profoundly change your song for the best, right? Let me know down in the comments what you think of this sidechaining, and how do you sidechain your Chillsynth or chillwave tracks? Do you go way beyond what I did in this case? I know there's lots of songs that use way more sidechain than even I have here, but what kind of tools do you use for sidechaining? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.